Hello, hello. Welcome to Real WW Talk. I'm Candice.
And I'm Rikki.
And you see, we're missing Erin today, and that is okay. Erin has been busy. It's fundraising season. She has a lot going on. So we are happy to hold down the fort. Rikki, it's always great to talk to you. So
You too, Candice.
yes, it is now. Oh my gosh, we are getting towards the end of September.
It's
Like,
crazy. It's
why?
flown by.
Just time is flying so quickly. How has your past week been since the last time we spoke? Have you had any candy corn? Been the big rage in the Facebook group, so I had to check to see if you've had any yet.
Not yet. I'm sure that when I have it, I'll enjoy my few pieces and move on. But it's been a good week. I've been keeping busy. It's hard to believe we're like, almost a month into the school year. It feels like it was just starting, but I can't complain. The weather's getting cooler, so it's not as uncomfortable to go outside or go for a walk. How about you?
I have been like hardcore preparing for this step bet. So I
Uh-huh.
made the moment that we said that we were doing this and we announced it, I've been intentional about getting 10,000 steps a day.
I love
And I've
it.
been using that. Rikki posted in our Facebook group about an app called Step Dog, which allows you to have this dog that if you have an Apple Watch,
Mm-hmm.
it's one of the screensavers or one of the screen faces that
Mm-hmm.
has a dog on there that gets upset with you if you don't hit your step goals throughout the day. And then when you do hit
Mm-hmm.
your step goals, he goes to sleep. So it has been super motivating for me because I don't like
Mm-hmm.
seeing the dog upset. And I need to train. And I was excited because Apple Watch told me that there's been a change in my step average.
Mm.
And I'm seeing the benefits of it. Like, I'm like, why do I keep needing these little things to do what I know is good for my body? But
Well, the thing I love about that app too is that like my goal is set to 8,000 right now. So I don't have to set it to 10 because, not only did I not want to mess with my numbers before, because I think that can happen that like the step that can adjust your
I think
target.
once you
Okay.
join and it's set, it doesn't change. But
Okay.
for future ones, it will.
Right, future
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
So I just also was like, wanting to ease myself into increasing my steps. So, it's nice to be able to select your step goal for the day even.
Yeah.
So the dog can be happier with you if you decide you only want to walk 5,000 steps one day.
Yeah. Look, whatever it takes. It's kind of like, to me, step dog is kind of like the plant nanny for
Mhm.
water. It's something to make it fun because if you don't naturally like getting steps, it's something to motivate you. And I found that
Mhm.
I have been more intentional because a lot of people are asking, what am I going to do to hit these goals that we're setting for ourselves? And things like parking farther away from a store, like usually we're looking for that parking space that's really close. Like I've been
Mhm.
parking further away, I've been taking the steps. All those little changes really make a difference. And I did play Erin's game that she told us about that a game, what is it called? Game Connect or oh my
I
goodness.
think something like that. I can't
It's
remember the
it's
name.
fantastic. You listen to the previous thing of Active Arcade. That's what
Okay.
it is. So that's another way because you're chasing after these things. But enough about
Mhm.
steps, enough about steps. It was making me think you and I were talking a little bit before we got on today about
Mhm.
not just with the change in the seasons, but this is like an opportunity for those non-scale victories. Like what I just shared
Yeah.
with my step increase, my steps going up because it's getting cooler
Mhm.
because I'm making an effort. I'm really looking forward to some non-scale victories during the
Yes.
holiday season. And you mentioned
Mhm.
something that I thought you might want to share with everybody.
Yeah, I was thinking about one of my friends today shared a picture, just she texted it to me, and we both talked about flying and, just having that uncomfortable moment of feeling like you might need a seatbelt extender. And, she had had one before, and I got to the point where I probably needed one, but didn't ask for one because I didn't want to. And she went on a flight this weekend and she didn't need the seatbelt extender. And I mean, I was just so happy for her. I know she was excited. You can just feel that just excitement and pride knowing that like, your weight's going down, you're doing all the things that you're supposed to be doing as a Weight Watcher when you're in that group. But sometimes it takes a little while to see the non-scale victories. I don't know about you, but I've had that happen with clothes. I've been losing weight recently and it's been a really good feeling, but I haven't really noticed a huge difference in my clothes. But this is just an example of, where you may not see some non-scale victories. There are other places where you can see them.
Yeah. And I think it's so necessary because we're looking for things to keep our momentum going. And
Mhm.
sometimes we've only ever used the scale. Like I
Right.
told you, we've fallen into that trap. Did the scale go down this week? That's how I know if I'm okay. Or if
Mm.
the scale went up, then what's the point? Non-scale victories, as those that aren't related to the scale or to inches really help you stay the course.
Mhm.
And for those of us like, who are bigger girls and it takes maybe some more time
Mhm.
for us to see the changes. Cause I say it takes about a good 30 pounds
Yeah.
for me before I'm like, okay, I can feel it in my clothes or I can
Mhm.
see it. I might feel it a little bit, but
Mhm.
before I get to that 30, I need something to keep me going.
Yeah, it's so true. I'm glad you brought that up. That's exactly what I've noticed with the clothes. Like, you know, we like to put numbers to things like, oh, 20 pounds is a dress size or 15 pounds or 10 pounds. Yeah, if you're a size 8 and you're trying to lose a little bit of weight, for you, 10 pounds might be a dress size. But if you're a size 20 and you're trying to lose a dress size, it could take you that 30 pounds to get down. I feel like it's not talked about enough. And what do you do in that moment when you're in between, when you know you've lost 25 pounds, but you're like, I'm still wearing the same jeans? Like, when am I going to see this result?
Yeah, what do you do to keep yourself motivated? And like I said,
Mhm.
that's why I do think that we need to like actively seek out those non-scale victories, not just like
Mhm.
let them happen and kind of, but what did I do? What have I seen as a change? For me, some of the non-scale victories, other than the walking that I've recently done that have made me very proud is, the morning exercise has always been my big thing. I'm back on
Mhm.
the bike in the mornings, creating that consistent routine, but I'm also cooking more at home and I'm saving money. So
That's
the
great.
the victory in my pocketbook is something that I also am celebrating even until I'm able to see more of the physical changes. I'm
Mhm.
able to see the effort that I'm putting in and how it's positively impacting other areas of my life.
Yeah.
'Cause don't you always see that there's a connection between like how you're doing with food and your money?
Mhm. Oh, 100%. Because a lot of times when I was eating out a lot, it wasn't planned. It wasn't something that I budgeted for because I didn't want to be eating out a lot because it's not part of what I determined to be a healthy pattern for myself.
Yeah.
So I did not want to budget for that, but then I would end up, not wanting to eat at home or being picky about what I wanted and that impulsivity of like, "Ugh, I don't want that. I'm just going to do this. It's late. I'm going to go pick up something from McDonald's." And it's impulsivity with my spending, but also impulsivity with my food choices that gets me into trouble. And it's like a cycle because, once I make the one choice, let's say it's an impulsive food choice at work, I think it makes it unfortunately a little bit easier to make that impulsive food choice on the way home. Um, so breaking that cycle is really huge, and it's been great to start a year and feel like the cycle is broken.
Yeah. And I think there's something about audibly saying it to somebody else when you do have that non-scale victory that helps it too. Like whether
Yeah.
it be your accountability partner, whether I talk to you and Erin and say, "Oh my goodness, I just want to let you know that I didn't stop by the fast food place. I just went home."
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
those people who know what that is and get it. And for you, if you don't have an accountability partner, you can go to our Facebook group. I mean, there's
Mhm.
7.3 thousand others who get you and understand and who are willing to celebrate you. I think we do that quite well.
Mhm.
There's also Connect in our Instagram page, but it's a great way to get that reinforcement to
Yeah.
keep you going because I'll tell you, I think especially during the holiday when there's so many things that can trip you up,
Mhm.
because there's a focus during this time period on food and on using it and celebration. And the way we celebrate is usually with food.
Mhm.
That the scale is usually the last thing that we're thinking about. And we're usually lamenting our choices and
Mhm.
not really feeling like we're needing to wait, until the new year to
Right.
to really look for those non-scale victories.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remind myself it doesn't have to be that big too. My therapist has been working with me on that because I think I'm a go big or go home person, which
Mhm.
works in some ways, but like here it doesn't. An example would be she told me that my win for the day that I should celebrate is just making it to 5 p.m., having tracked my food, honestly.
That's good. Yeah.
Like, I didn't say that you had to stay within your points. I just said that by 5 p.m., you are still aware and tracking honestly.
Mhm.
That's a win and you should celebrate it.
Mhm.
Something about the non-scale victory being that small, but being able to say, I'm okay with doing that
Mhm.
has been really helpful for me because it's allowed me to let go of this perfection tendency that that I have.
Mhm.
No.
And I think that that's a great one, and I think going along with that, it's easy for us to compare ourselves to other people, but, and it's not always healthy for us to compare ourselves even to our past selves, but I think about how this year I've really worked on just eating less and how that's helped. I'm still working on the quality of the food that I eat. I still eat more like processed and frozen foods. But when I think to last year and then I think about comparing it to this year going into the holidays, I'm confident that my plate will be a little smaller and that I'll be eating a little bit less, even if I'm still eating the frozen foods or eating things that are processed. I'm working on eating more green things and fresh things too. And we're all works in progress. Like you talk about the perfectionism.
Yeah.
I'm not going to change to being a plant-based diet, whatever keto type eater overnight.
Yeah.
And for me, maybe that's not a reality, but I can make those approximations towards, the goals that I want. Talking about that 1% from, Atomic Habits, I can make those changes and see the difference from last year to this year.
Yeah. And I think that when you look at the yo-yo effect, which I know you and I both have know
Mhm.
all too well, where you can be really, really stickler and it's this, and I'm only going to do this, and then you lose, but then you can't keep it up.
Yeah.
Something about acknowledging that balance that you're talking about, where you're saying, my plate's going to be a little bit smaller. I may not yet have all the things in there that would make everybody else feel like I'm the good Weight Watcher or the person who, but for me, this small win, you know, that you consider small, but I consider huge, is putting
Mhm.
me on the path because it's something that I'm learning how to consistently do.
Mhm.
And that's something that I know is important for myself is focusing on those consistent wins,
Yeah.
but expecting that I'm going to have those days that are not wins. When I say wins, they're not perfect. They're not
Mhm.
blue dot in the Weight Watchers world. It's not a
Mhm.
blue dot day. It's anything but. I'm going to have that
Mhm.
week that has 200 points in the negative.
Mhm.
But, you know,
Yeah, that consistency piece. You were, I don't know if you mind sharing this, but you were talking about Isaiah and his potty
oh
training
yeah, yeah,
and how you made a shift from saying, like, he's potty trained because more often than not, he's
yeah,
going to the potty.
yeah. Rikki, you're so right. Like I would say I was so surprised at how much that little boy and his potty training has taught me about my journey and my life and even the non-scale victories because he's officially potty trained now. Like I can say that with confidence. Like he tells me when he has to go and he goes. Does he have accidents? Yes.
Mhm.
Is that something that I berate him for? Absolutely not.
Mm.
But I can confidently tell somebody else if they were to say, "Is your son potty trained?" that he is. But
Mhm.
it started with a choice that we made to say, "Okay, look, we're done with the pull-ups. Like you're potty trained for better or worse. Like
Mhm.
we're gonna make it through it. We know that there's gonna be these bumps, but we're
Mhm.
gonna have to figure this out." And he's responded in kind to knowing that we have now made those changes.
Yeah.
And I thought about when we talk about ourselves and our weight loss, right? Do we say confidently, I am on plan, I have
Mhm.
made changes. I am a person who cares about my health and my body, and I just make choices that make me feel good.
Mhm.
And know that the only standard is more often than not that we're
Mhm.
doing those things to reinforce those habits.
Yeah.
So, last week I'll share, I lost 5 pounds this week. And the
Yay.
reason why I brought that up is because it was a week where I was more often than not making choices that just made me proud, right? Like I was
Mhm.
exercising, I was on it with my water, I was on it with all the things. But maybe, there was a day in there that I certainly went over. With my husband's 40th birthday, and we went to Fogo de Chao. And I don't know if anyone knows that restaurant, and it was like a steakhouse, and they just keep bringing out all this food to you. And like they have this huge salad bar, but while it's good, you're really there for like the
We're not
meats.
there for the salad.
Yeah, you're like, okay, let me get the Caesar salad with extra dressing. But it didn't eliminate all of the other good things that I did in the week. And I was still
Mhm.
able to have a loss and to feel proud of myself.
Mhm.
So that to me is the validation that we need to continue going. That was the non-scale victory, because
Mhm.
I think I told you and some of my other accountability partners, I said, here's my honest tracker. This
Mhm.
is me honestly saying, this is what I ate and this is how much I ate. And, I don't feel guilt about it. I just was
Mhm.
accountable for it. That's the
Yeah.
non-scale victory. And that's what's going to help me during the holidays.
Mhm. And I mean, didn't you also have a major non-scale victory with some infamous cookies?
Oh my God. Oh, that's right. Now that was the biggest non-scale victory of them all, because I told you guys, you all may have seen it on the Instagram or on our Facebook group. I said no to crumble. When I tell you guys that these crumble cookies are like heaven,
Just
and they're
fluffy.
fluffy and full of butter and every bad thing, okay, that you could think should be in a cookie is in that, and it's
Mhm.
glorious, and they don't
Mhm.
lie about it. They're like, "Look, it's 50,000 points. Eat it if you want to. We're not changing it. We
Mhm.
don't care." Like,
Mhm.
a fourth of a cookie is 12 points. A fourth. Eat
It's
it if you want to. And
absurd.
you're like, "Well, guess I'm gonna have 84 points today." But someone bought them for my husband for his birthday, and they were in the house.
Mm.
And I was like, "Oh no, this is just wrong," because normally I would have annihilated all of them.
Mhm.
I would have gone in the bathroom and been like, 3-year-old, get away from me, because they tell on you, kids tell on you. So, but I didn't. I reached out and I posted on the Facebook group, and I said, "This is wrong, y'all. It's so wrong that it's here." But I gave them away to my parents and to our neighbors. They were happy,
Right. Yeah.
and I was able to kind of stay within my point. So that's what I chose that time. And I did make a point to say, there's nothing wrong if you choose to give into it from time to time. It's just not what I
Mhm.
chose to do.
Yeah.
So,
And knowing at the end of the week that you lost 5 pounds versus, would it have been worth it to eat the cookies
yeah,
to potentially not have that loss? Like, probably not. I mean, the challenge in the moment, as hard as it was for you, it was probably so worth it because you had the result on the scale because of
yeah,
all the other hard work you did during the week.
yeah. My question for you, Ricky, because this is something I do still struggle with, and I'm trying to use
Mhm.
it as a victory throughout this holiday, is when we have given in, whether it
Yeah.
be we have the specialty drink, because I know you're big on like the fall holiday things, and
Yes.
it's something that may have been unexpected or something that you may have guilt over whether you should or should not, because we still have the guilt. Like I know I
Mhm.
still label foods good or bad, like I did with the crumble cookie. I still, you can tell me all foods are good, but it's hard for me to believe that when it's 12 points for a fourth of a cookie. I know that that's not
Right.
the best choice. How do
Right.
you allow yourself or give yourself that grace? Do you still struggle with giving yourself that grace when you've made choices throughout the day that
Mhm.
you may not be proud of, and not allow it to affect the rest of your week?
I think it's getting easier. It's still hard. I mean, I definitely had one of those days this week where, it just felt like the stress eating was getting to me at work. And I went to the vending machine. I hadn't been to the vending machine all year. And I went to the vending machine. Um, and I pressed the button to get Pop Tarts. The machine just said, no. Maybe it was God saying no. And the Pop Tarts got stuck. Um, and then I still decided, like, I'm going to have something sweet. Like, I was on a mission. So I still, got something sweet on the way home. But I also knew that I was sick during the week. I had a lot of things going on. It was, just that time of the week where it was just very stressful. And I allowed myself to have that sweet thing. I tracked it. I shared my tracker with my accountability people, and I just moved on. And I think that's something that, I didn't lose this week. I had a losing streak for the past, I think, 5 weeks, and I gained this week. But I'm moving on from it because I've been so reinforced and so excited about seeing the scale go down, and not just that. I'm going to work. There's been multiple days my pants have just not stayed up, and I'm still in between the sizes, so it's like I'm still wearing them, but that is reinforcing enough to keep going. I have a trip myself coming up in October.
Yeah.
And I want to have that same excitement that my friend had about the plane. And I don't ever want to feel that way getting onto a plane and not knowing, being anxious the whole time. Am I going to fit in this seat? Am I going to take up too much space to my neighbor?
Yeah.
And I think that is in the back of my mind when I have days like that. Like, this is why we keep going forward, because we're not going backwards.
First off, that's a non-scale victory right there, to say, hey, I have enough momentum right now that even if I've had some things that have happened that I might not have been super proud of, I'm not going to allow that to continue to derail me, because I have these goals. I've recently shared that I am cancer free. We knew that back in February, but having scans and then a doctor telling you again that you definitely are is a great feeling. But to do that, I had to get into this MRI machine. And when I tell you, as a bigger girl getting into a breast MRI machine, somebody posted on my Instagram and said it's like shoving like a Great Dane into something that's made for a Chihuahua. Like, it's like very uncomfortable, right? And weight loss helps with the amount that you're having to be stuffed. You feel like you're being stuffed into something, and I'm already claustrophobic. So one of the things that I'm using as motivation is I have to have these scans every 6 months, maybe not MRIs, but other things. And I don't ever want my weight to be something that hinders me being able to do things that are good for my health, or to be monitored, And so that it was just a very sobering time for me to say, you have been given not only this new lease on life, but you can really affect change. And I can no longer use the excuse that my body won't release weight. So having a week like last week where I'm like, this is what happens when you stick to it. Not perfect, but just honest. And consistent with sharing and not hiding and dealing with those emotions that you feel other people feel. Because a lot of the reasons why I hide is usually because I feel like other people are judging me. When I have like accountability partners or I'm doing stuff, I don't want to be judged for a 200-point day. But it's important for me to track, because that's the non-scale victory for me. It keeps me being able to move forward, to own it, and to keep going.
Exactly.
And to not let a slip become a slide, which can happen a lot during the season. So I'm just hopeful for both of us that we, continue on that thing, because you have your trip in October. I have mine in November. And
you're going to be comfortable. I mean, I think sometimes you get to a point where you're, just frustrated, and you don't know in the moment, that it's going to take a lot of work. So you kind of have to prepare yourself that eventually I'll get to the point where this won't be hard. But in the meantime, there's things I have to do to continue moving forward. And I think that's the part where if you get that, you can just keep the goals and the things in your head that will, like the routines that will help you get to where you need to go. Whether it's, I don't want to walk, but I'm going to put my shoes on and I'm going to walk this week. Or I'm going to get on the bike at 4:45 in the morning, at least a few times this week, because if I don't, it'll be harder to meet that goal when that time comes.
Yeah. Or even what I love you did with the step dog. I'm not going to say that I have to do 10,000. I'm going to put 8, and that's what I'm going to do. Making it customizable to yourself is also a form to me of self-care and honesty that helps you continue, because it's not about if somebody else has their step goal at 15,000. You can be proud at 8. I can be proud at 10. You can be proud at 4. Everybody's different. And not going back to our step bed again, but it just makes me so excited, because that's why they tailor the
Mhm.
steps to you as a person, and based on whatever you use to track your steps. For me with my Apple Watch, it does fluctuate throughout the year. Sometimes when I'm really, really, really on it, my step goal may be higher because
Mhm.
I'm in better shape or I was more consistent. When I'm
Mhm.
in times where I'm lower, my step goal is lower.
Yeah.
So I want to do that with my mindset too.
Mhm.
That sometimes I'm really on it, and sometimes I have days where I want to eat the world. But it doesn't mean that I have to keep it going, because that's always what's tripped me up.
Mhm.
I've let days become weeks, become
Right.
months.
Yeah, and I mentioned that I was sick this past week, and this week happened to be the one week that I gained out of the past like 5 or 6 weeks, something like that. And other than being sick, the only thing that was really, really different was I didn't work out in the mornings, and I kind of broke that habit because I listened to my body. I said, I was going to work. I went to work every day. I took a COVID test. I wasn't sick. Wore a mask at work. It was
Mhm.
just a I'd say a mild cold, but I worked through it. But in order to do that, I had to get my sleep in, and that involved not working out this week. I did take one walk during the week, but I attribute my weight loss to a lot of things, the honest tracking and the consistency and the behaviors. But I think the workouts have played more of a role in it than maybe I even expected, based on even things I've said before. Like you can't out workout a bad diet. That's
Mhm.
still true. But that doesn't mean that a workout is worthless. And I think sometimes the all or nothing thing tells
Mhm.
me, okay, if I can't out workout a bad diet, then I'm not going to work out. No,
Mhm.
that's not what that means. So I'm excited to get back into that routine because, like you're saying, that consistency,
Yeah.
even before you see other things like, the primary thing we're looking for with Weight Watchers is our weight.
Yeah.
But before you see those other things, that consistency and the improvements you can make with workouts, whether it be walking or, just getting on a bike or whatever it is for you, I think you can see those improvements and the effects they have on your journey.
And it's so motivating, because
Yes.
even with the 5 pounds, it might say, what difference did you see? I felt a difference in how mentally I felt clearer, my blood pressure. I think there's just things that happened, even with just in a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if we allow ourselves that time, and what I love that you said is you're releasing what happened last week and saying, okay, well, this is lessons learned. Okay, I need to exercise is important. I was sick. I gave myself grace. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not like you're letting it transition into a new week and saying, I can't believe it, because that would used to be me. I cannot believe I did that last week.
Mm-hmm.
How could I be so stupid? I had a streak going. Oh
Mm-hmm.
my gosh, the streak is broken. I had lost all this weight and now I gained a pound. I can't believe and it just can become, a trajectory that I don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm upset, so now I eat because I'm upset, and now I gain again the second week, and then I'm like, "Oh, what's the point? See, let me regain."
Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying, "So what?" And that's my therapist's favorite thing to do. She just looks at me and goes, "So?" I'm like, "I had a cookie." She's like, "Okay." I'm like, "You don't understand. Like, I didn't plan for it." And she said, "Okay, so what? Did you track it?" "No, because I don't want my tracker to know." "Well, why don't you track it and get over yourself, because your body knows, and then
Right.
let's move on and let's
Mhm.
have dinner, because we're not
Mhm.
punishing ourselves because we ate something,
Right.
and let's drink some water, and then let's go to sleep, and then let's just keep going."
Mhm.
That sounds easy, but for people like me, that can be tough.
Mhm.
So the non-scale victory that I'm looking for is to continue to do that with myself when I slip, not if,
Mhm.
because I'm going to slip.
Yeah, we're all human.
It's going to happen. And
Mhm.
running towards those uncomfortable feelings that are usually just made up lies in our head that everyone's judging you, when
Mhm.
most likely nobody really cares.
Right.
Even if they look at me and go, dang, you ate a lot today. Well, anyway, let's move on.
Right.
You don't be like me and join 15,000 Weight Watcher centers when there were 15,000 Weight Watcher centers
Back in the day.
back in the day, where you could go to like a different center in every county, because you're running away from a receptionist thinking that they're judging you when they don't even remember your weight 2 minutes after they weighed you in. Like, that
Right.
was the thing I had. I was like, oh, you don't know how much I weigh anymore? They're like, one told me, I don't even remember your name.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. But in my mind, she's judging me. She can't believe that I gained 3 pounds this week.
Mm-hmm. No, they don't
It's
care.
not true. So, but I love chatting with you about this topic, and I'm looking forward
Yes,
to
me
you
too.
all. Please share with us, what are some of the non-scale victories that you have experienced, on your journey, even maybe now, or that you found during the holidays, or that you focus on? Tell us in our Facebook group. You can find us at Real WW Talk. Touch us there. We also would love for you to connect with us on Instagram, Real WW Talk. We're also on Connect. You'll see our handles that are going to be in the show notes. I'm trying to get better with posting on Connect because it's really,
Me too.
they've done a great job with kind of overhauling it. And it seems to be a very, very positive place with a lot of interaction that's happening. So if you're on
That's
Connect,
great.
you'll probably see more of us. That's my commitment. Maybe that'll be my non-scale victory, is to post more on Connect. But you can also find us on YouTube. If you want to see our lovely faces, you won't see Erin this week, but you can see all the previous episodes. Like I said, we're a hoot, and it's always great to put a face with the name. But yeah, so we will see you. Please don't forget to join our step bet if you want to. It starts October 1st, 6 weeks, $40 in. You are betting on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to hit your step goals. And if you do, you get to split the pot with the other winners. And if you don't, we take your money. But we're not going to have any losers. We're not.
No.
This community, we are going to share and support, and it's going to be a great time. This is our fun. So
yes, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
yeah. So we will see you next week. Have a great week. Bye.
Bye.